Good afternoon, good evening. Hello.
Hi there, Aria Castillo. How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while. We've been like crazy busy doing all kinds of other stuff, and that legislative session is like a madhouse.
Yeah.
I took 2 weeks off. Well, I shouldn't say I took 2 weeks off. I spent 2 weeks traveling. Tried to stay in contact, online. But we haven't been on this for a while, so let's jump into it. Uh, my
Thanks
name
for
is Gary Hooser. Your video, your audio sounded a little bit. I can't hear you anymore.
Okay,
You're,
keep going.
okay. The My name is Gary Hooser. I'm speaking on my own behalf. I don't represent any organization or anything except for Gary Hooser. And I spent 8 years as a Hawaii State Senator, 8 years on the Kauai County Council, about a year and a half as a director of the Office of Environmental Quality Control. Before that, I was in small business. So I've done lots of things, and right now I'm technically retired. Tutu man. I've got some grandkids, but staying very active. And I invite people, if anyone out there that wants to get more involved in policy and politics, especially in Hawaii, to reach out. You can get my contact information, sign up for my email list at garyhooser.com or go to garyhooser.blog. Uh, to see the stuff I write. I write weekly. I try to educate people, try to encourage people to get involved, encourage people to run for office. And been working with Aria Juliet for, it's 10 or 15 years now, it seems like.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Uh, Long time. Your audio still isn't matching for me anyway. Maybe it's matching for other people, but we can just go with it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aria Juliet Castillo. My day job, I work for Hawaii Lines for Progressive Action. Have been so lucky to be working at the Capitol this past a couple of months, lobbying for Hawaii Lines for Progressive Action on a number of good governance bills. But I'm here tonight on my own personal capacity. I also work for a small business in Kailua, and I manage a couple of political campaigns. And I also volunteer for the Democratic Party of Hawaii as their assistant treasurer, which we have a convention coming up. So maybe we can talk about that towards the end of the um, episode tonight.
Yeah, sounds good. There's still a little bit of touch and go with the audio and the video for me. Maybe everybody else is doing it okay.
Yeah, sorry, not much I can do. So let's just keep going.
Yeah, let's go. So Mishka signed on. Mishka is behind the scene helping us keep this thing organized and moving forward. So right now, the legislative session, Hawaii state legislature meets every year for technically 60 days, 60 session days. And that stretches out from about mid January to May 7th. So right now, all the bills have been through most of their hearings, and we're closing in on the home stretch. They all have to be closed out pretty much this week or Monday or Tuesday of next week in order to meet the May 7th or May 8th deadline.
I think the deadline for the end of conference for non-fiscal bills is actually tonight before they have to get it filed and everything and for their final vote. And for the conference committee bills, that's Friday for the ones that have financial component to them.
Okay, so there's some key deadlines tonight and tomorrow. And just a caveat on the deadlines. Okay, Gary Hooser spent 8 years in the Senate, 4 of them as majority leader. And I get a bit cynical, if you would, when we talk about deadlines. The deadlines are all flexible if a majority wants them to be. So if the Senate President and the Speaker of the House want to move those deadlines a day or two, or a committee wants to move them, that can be done. Everyone points to the session deadline, session deadline. The Constitution allows the session to be extended by 15 days. All it takes is a governor to sign something, or 2/3 majority of the House and Senate. So if there's important stuff going on, and there is, and there's some delays, when I hear a legislator say, "Oh, we missed the deadline," I say BS. Those deadlines can be extended. But not to say we're not under pressure, but the deadlines can be extended as we move forward by a majority or by the governor with a stroke of a pen.
I was really surprised. I think we lost 2.5, 3 days of legislative session due to the Kona low storms. And there was some rumbling around this saying that they were going to be able to maybe extend session a little bit by a week. And I was so surprised to know that they didn't do that. We lost a good amount of hearing days. And I think that it's just like a real shame that we continue to fit ourselves within this tight little deadline. And like you said, are flexible if the majority agrees. And if Speaker and Senate President said that they wanted to extend session because they had to take off a couple of days, I don't know why any other member would be against that.
Exactly. I agree. And, we'll have to have a dedicated podcast to talk about the wisdom, if you would, of having a year-round session. It seems absolutely crazy nuts the way this works, especially in the beginning. 1,000 bills, 2,000 bills. I don't know the number. There's thousands of them get poured into the down the tube, if you would, and everyone's rushing around like chickens with their head cut off, and lobbying and testifying and voting, and no one can keep up with it all. I've talked to legislators. Myself, I'd say, how come you voted like that? We said, well, there's just too much stuff going on and they didn't have a chance to read it, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, we are at the end. And that's why we kind of rushed to get this thing out today, because we want to let people know there are some particular items that are exceptionally important, in my opinion, that we need to talk about and encourage people to get active on. The big issue of it's been consuming everyone is this bribery and corruption and money in politics. And hats off to you, Aria, and the Clean Elections people for the work we do. I know you don't speak on their behalf, but there's a group of people who've been focusing on clean elections, getting rid of pay to play. Pay to play is a legal form of corruption, in my opinion. People donating money to get their way. And we've been talking about the $35,000 in the paper bag, and the Citizens United, which is another thing we're going to talk about today. There's a bill. Hats off to Senate Chair Carl Rhodes and others who have been championing it, to pass state legislation to control or regulate the Citizens United, which gives corporations the power to spend unlimited amounts of money. But the big player here that people talk about is Pacific Resource Partnership, PRP. They pump through their super PACs, affiliated super PACs, millions of dollars into elections. They've supported Governor Green with at least $500,000. You probably know the numbers more than I do. They've worked hard to get rid of Lieutenant Governor, make sure she didn't get elected, but she did. They smeared former Governor Ben Cayetano all over with untruths. He actually won in court against them. They're funded. They're a partnership of the Carpenters Union and general contractors. And I think personally, the carpenters get a bad rap. They get always talking about the Carpenters Union, and in reality, I think the contractors are the ones driving it.
I agree, and I think that to speak about money in politics, when we talk about PAC spending in Hawaii, PRP, overwhelmingly majority of the money spent from independent expenditures and money spent on candidate committees is from Pacific Resource Partnership. They have a PAC called Be Change Now that was a part of the smear campaigns against Ben Cayetano. They were running negative ads against Jill Takuda and Sylvia Luke as well, and then supportive ads for Governor Green as lieutenant governor, and then to get him in as governor. And the majority of donors who donate to campaigns are contractors, and that's where the contractor loophole kind of ban for pay to play schemes came in. a lot of like general contractors, labor contractors, rail, engineering, construction engineering, stuff like that. So the new PRP PAC, before I forget, is for a better tomorrow. So that's who we have to kind of watch our eyes on now. They have about $12 million ready to be spent on whatever their whim is.
How much? How much?
Million.
$12 million. Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, when we talk about this money in politics and pay to play, that's really who the biggest kind of bad actors are, and saying bad actors because it's like an overwhelming amount of money that just is impossible to counteract any other narrative. They just flood the airways, whether it's negative or positive. The negative campaigning is like also, distasteful in many people's minds, and people don't like it, but just the gross amount of money in general, even if supportive, that they've given up is just like kind of just unconscionable to me.
No, I agree, and a little frustrating. I believe in our democracy. I believe in our system of government, and I encourage other people to do it. But it's so hard. People think, well, why bother, Gary? The fix is in. They got all this money. Nothing matters. And if they're doing it legally, and that's why the legislature's job is to adjust the laws to level the playing field. And you know, it doesn't mean the PR people are evil crooks or something. They're promoting their values and their ideas, which focus around development and money. And I'm not going to speak for them, but that's what it seems like anyway. It's about money, and it's about development, and also about jobs. Jobs are important, but the level, the playing field's not level, and the influence is far too. We're Sylvia Luke, the Lieutenant Governor Luke, is getting raked over the coals, and who knows what the reality of that is. And we're talking about $35,000. Or 20,000, depending on how you look at it. And there's an organization with 12 million they're spending to influence, or they can spend to influence elections. And now, people should submit questions if they have questions, right? On Facebook or YouTube, I guess. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, Facebook or YouTube. So to talk about the bills that are in front of us, SB 2471 is an answer to ending Citizens United in Hawaii. And essentially what it's saying is it's taking the power that Hawaii granted corporations power to operate in Hawaii, and it's taking the corporate power away from them to spend money to influence elections, basically closing their corporate bank account from writing checks to spend money on elections. And, I think that there has been some pushback saying that this is going to be harmful for unions specifically because, they want to be able to influence politics and play along or whatever. But actually, in the perspective of union membership and organizations like Sierra Club, unions and organizations like Sierra Club, they already have a list of members that they can tap into to donate money towards their PACs. So essentially, it's saying that Sierra Club of Hawaii can't write a check for their PAC, but all of their 150 members can write a check to the PAC and spend money that way. Same with labor unions. The laborers can't write a check from their bank account, but all of their union members can submit payments towards the PAC to still run ads to influence elections or whatever. But then it's disclosed that this is attached to a human being, and they're the ones that are spending money to influence elections. It's not the corporations that are doing that.
That's good. That's Senate Bill 2471. Is that the number, 2471 SB?
Yes.
And people, there's a variety of folks who listen and we're watching us right now, and some of you know all this stuff, and some of you are just learning. So I would really encourage people that are just learning to write down capital.hawaii.gov. Capital with an O, Hawaii spelled out, .gov. And you go there, and you'll see a little box at the top. You can type in SB 2471, and bingo, you get all the information available to you. If there's hearings, you can testify, you can read who sponsored the bill, that kind of thing. So please do that. And I'm just going to interject real quickly. because one of the things I'm proud of was I was running for re-election to the Senate. I was actually endorsed by the Carpenters Union and the Sierra Club in the same election. And some would say they have two different ends. The Sierra Club wants to preserve and slow down development, and the Carpenters Union wants to build and speed it up. But I got both their endorsements one year, so I'm real proud of that. I'll brag. And so both of us, I know, are strong supporters of organized labor.
Yes, and my dad was a member of the Carpenters Union for many years. So I'm not speaking disparagingly, and I think it's true that the Carpenters Union does get kind of like sucked into this narrative that they're like, trying to take over with corporate development. And I think that they're fighting for their members for good jobs and good wages and fair labor practices, but the people that employ them are fighting for development at all costs, supply issues. That's kind of the things that they say. Just reminder for everyone, the first day, I think one of the first actions that Governor Green took when he got into office was declaring there was a housing emergency, and that was critical. And this is why we had to roll back on certain protections, environmental protections, so they can continue to build. He got in trouble for that and had to roll back some of those things. But just that's kind of the framing of the mindset that these organizations are kind of on and pushing the narrative towards.
And they're legitimate organizations, and our community, our political community, our regular community is made up of different viewpoints. It's just, in my opinion, the weight, it's out of line. Just way too much weight in the political process, and they one could argue that they have control. I don't think they have control, but they certainly have influence. You can bet your bottom line that the governor will answer their phone calls in the middle of the night when they call, as will any politician, because of the money that's available to either help you or to hurt you.
Yeah.
So with the governor's office, with state legislative offices, all offices, and now most recently, a member, an individual who was part of one of their super PACs, on the board of directors of the super PACs, was appointed to be on the Supreme Court and was approved, and then just recently was appointed to be Chief Justice of the Hawaii Supreme Court. And unfortunately, I guess depending on your perspective, he failed to disclose this before the appointment was brought to the Senate. And just recently, the Senate Judiciary Committee, who has to approve, the Senate has to approve or disapprove. They interviewed him, and the Judiciary Chair, Senator Carl Rhodes, did not endorse his appointment. And it was a split vote. The committee did move it forward to the full Senate, but it's very, very unusual to have the chair of the committee, especially this committee, vote one way and have it not go that way. And that now goes to the floor of the Senate, and it's unclear when that vote will happen. It should be happening soon. Whether it happens this week or Monday, I'm not sure. But the full Senate will vote, and 13 senators have to approve or disapprove. And this doesn't speak to the character of the individual. I want to make that clear. There's been other appointments of really good people, but just a bad appointment. If we want to strengthen the public's opinion of government, perception matters, and to have a key player, someone who actually sat on a political action committee and helped direct the spending of millions of dollars to attack and to support candidates who are now appointing them to office to serve in the Supreme Court. It stinks, quite frankly. And there's plenty of ways to serve. And if I encourage people, and I'd like to maybe show them how to do that right now, if we could, to call your senator and encourage them to vote no when this comes out. If you support the effort, tell them vote yes. It's up to you if you're listening. But my opinion is to vote no. So I'm gonna make that call. It'll take me a second to look it up. the phone number actually. I'll go to capital.hawaii.gov, and I go to the very top and it says legislature. I'll go to the Senate members, and then you have a whole list of all the Senate members. And my senator happens to be Senate President Ron Kochi. And that's the seat that I sat in. And then I resigned and run for lieutenant governor, and I lost. But Senator Kochi was appointed, and he fills that seat now, representing all of Kauai and Ni'ihau. And so that's my senator. So I'm going to give his office a call right now. And I doubt if he'll answer the phone. I might get a recorder. And so I encourage all of you to do the same thing. Find your number. You can do it right now, it would be good. Yes, this is Gary Hooser for Senator Kochi. Senate President Kochi, is he available? Yeah, if you could give him a message for me, please. I'm calling about the appointment to the Chief Justice office. And I'm encouraging Senator Kochi to vote no. I'm not sure when the floor vote is. Do you know when the floor vote will be? Yes. Yes, that's correct. And I know the chair of the Judiciary Committee opposed it, but the committee passed it. And I will try to find out the day of the floor vote. But my name is Gary Hooser, 808-652-4279. And I just want to strongly encourage the Senate President to vote no. I believe it sends a wrong message to have a person who's been affiliated with these super PACs and in the past in that position. That's the short answer. And he's welcome to call me, and I'd love to hear from him, actually, to hear what he has to say. So if you could give him that message, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye. Could you hear me? Could you hear the other side?
No.
Okay. Very nice woman. Staff, it was easy. So I encourage other people, look up your senator and give them a call, just like that. And enough people do it, it will make a difference. Trust me on this. I've been there. I sat in those seats, and when people from your district, I could run against them. I'm not going to. Never say never and always be ready, of course. But when people in the district call, it makes a difference. So please, this is going to be a tough vote for a lot of people. There's people running for election, and they want our votes, and they want PRP's help. So yeah, I encourage people to call.
Yeah, there's good civil beat reporting on this issue if people are interested in learning more. Justice Devins has a long labor law history, so he has actually a lot of union support behind him, which I think makes this appointment even more uncomfortable and hard because he's worked for like HSTA and other organizations that we are like mostly friendly with. So it's really hard. And I think I want to give a shout out to Senator San Buenaventura, who did a really excellent line of questioning and kind of just framed the conversation about the fact that he chose not to disclose and didn't think that would be an important information to share, that he served in this PAC and that it was part of such a negative campaign against Lieutenant Governor Luke and against Jill Takuda, and Senator San Buenaventura, I looked it up. She has Carpenters Union money donated to her campaign, and she still chose to, stand up and say the right thing. So shout out to her. Shout out to Senator Rhodes. I think he said this was like the first confirmation that he's ever voted against. I think, for the most part, good or bad, I think they generally want to go with what it comes forward to them to recommend. They don't take these consent things lightly. They want to support it. They want to pass it through. But so when they do take that no vote, that's a really big deal. So Sending them letter and emails of encouragement, phone calls of encouragement is really important to show them that, we believe that they're doing the right thing.
Right. So a mahalo to those senators who have already spoken out, Senator Buenaventura and Senator Carl Rhodes. I'll give a shout out to my former colleague, Senator Leslie Hara, who, when I was first elected, he mentored me, and he spoke out also. He's not on the committee. I don't believe he's on that Judiciary Committee, but he did testify, and he shared the same concerns. And these are high integrity individuals who, and there's a lot of pressure not to. There's a lot of pressure to be quiet because of the money involved and the everything. So I encourage people to make the calls tonight. Make them tonight, and if you wait long enough, you just get voicemail. That's the easiest call to make. But please make those calls, and they do make a difference. If you have time, call multiple senators and just express to them your concerns.
Okay, so I just found the number. It's GM 801, and there's a 1-day notice posted today. So the vote is tomorrow.
Okay. So that vote is tomorrow. And so it's even more important to make those calls. And please make the calls and then call your friends and post it on social media or send out emails and get your friends to make those calls. We can do this, and it will send a strong message. And this is not as personal as it feels to testify against someone. This is about the bigger picture. This is about faith and confidence in government. And we need that.
The name is Justice Vladimir Devins, and he already serves on the Supreme Court. He was appointed, I think, just 2 years ago, and so now he's trying to be appointed to Chief Justice, which is the head of the Supreme Court. So kind of sets the tone, and it's really it blows my mind to think about, we have a bill, SB 2471, moving through the legislative session right now that will highly likely be challenged in court, possibly at the Hawaii State Supreme Court. And to have someone who directly served on a very organization that this bill would be impacting, I don't know.
Yes. We'll talk more about this later. Is there some questions in the chat? I don't see my chat, but I saw a question that we should look at the chat.
Yeah, the question was, who was the name of the...
Oh, okay. Having served on these panels and having to vote for and against, it's awkward at best. And hats off to the legislators who were willing to stand up and be counted on this. And afterwards, we'll have another podcast, and we'll call out the votes, who voted which way. And maybe we can even show some of the floor speeches. But I encourage people, if you live in Honolulu, show up. Show up and sit in the gallery and watch. There'll be some interesting floor speeches. Both sides have to defend their vote.
The other option also is the potential for governor to pull the nomination. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've seen that happen in the past when it's going to be close and messy. This is going to be close and messy, or it's going to be messy anyway. There are senators there who are running for re-election, who have to choose between the most powerful moneyed political force in the state and public sentiment, who are uncomfortable with this. And will be interesting to see whose side they choose and how that will affect their elections. With that is Senate Bill 2471 is that bill. Do we know what happened to that? That was at conference today. That's the Citizens United measure. And this, I should say, this bill to regulate Citizens United is puts Hawaii in a leadership position, one of a handful of the 50 states who are taking this issue on and pioneering it, if you will, with this particular path.
So SB 2471 is currently in conference committee, and its conference committee, I think, is the most frustrating part of the legislative session, because even though we have meetings throughout the entire year, we give testimony and we hear them kind of have a little bit of discussion about decisions. All of the decisions that happen in conference happen behind closed doors, and they're not even bashedly ashamed to admit that that's what's going on, even though all decision making should be made in public. So when they meet on conference committee, they talk about drafts that they've reviewed. They don't mention the details. They just say, oh, this is pending, we'll meet again tomorrow at 2. And then it rolls over to the next day and the next day because they didn't get clearance. And there's no opportunity for us as the public to weigh in or see the drafts that they're kind of proposing. So it's really annoying. And I know that people think that they're kicking it down the can. One thing that happened with SB 2471 is they added finance as another referral to the bill. And the reason why I believe they did that is so to give them more time, because technically finance bills have a couple more days to get the details sorted out. And Senator Kehoe Kulole and Chair Representative Matayoshi have both expressed desire to pass this bill forward. They just have concerns about the legalities and they're trying to get through the details. So that is why they're kind of, messing around with it a little bit. There's still some details. Governor Green has indicated that he will sign a bill if it comes forward to him. And there's a question in the chat about preventing money coming in from the federal level. So that's a little bit kind of up in the air as far as I'm concerned about what the legalities are. But essentially the same thing. If they're registering in Hawaii with Campaign Spending Commission and spending money in a PAC, the corporate bank account cannot write checks. So that's my understanding of what's going on. So it still would be, this doesn't stop Elon Musk personally from donating money, but his name would be on the checks. Elon Musk donated money and is spending money. So it's not the end all be all for unlimited spending in our elections, but it's a start to get the corporate bank account shut down.
And I'm just going to jump in quickly about the process. That you talked about how frustrating it is that all this discussions going on behind closed doors as they're coming to a decision between the two House Senate committees. I would add, I believe it's against the Constitution. The state constitution says clearly any meeting of a committee or committees, I've almost got it memorized verbatim, it's meeting for the purpose of making a decision shall be public. And they're having these, it's not the Sunshine Law, that's much more restrictive in the counties and boards, commissions, but they're making decisions behind closed doors. And the Supreme Court might have to rule on that also. And that's another complication. So encourage your members, get to know your senators and your House members and hold them accountable, because it's easy to sit on a committee and point to the chair. Well, nothing I can do. The chair decided this. Well, the chairs will serve at the pleasure of the committee, if you would. And the majority of the committee is actually who votes. And so the committee members, even though they sit there silently, mostly, with a few exceptions, should be held accountable. So if you know those committee members, or if they sit, if they represent your district, they're the ones you talk to, mostly. So please get involved. Like, I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting involved and taking action today. This committee meets tomorrow to vote, and so those calls need to come in. We need to make that happen.
And calls for leadership are also important as well, because they do encourage, things to move along. So that's also something that you can do, is call leadership and encourage them to pass out these bills.
Yes. If your senator or House member sits on the committee, or any senator on the vote for the Supreme Court, Chief Supreme Court Justice. But yeah, just get involved. It makes a difference. I saw this happen. I'm going to switch topics for a second. Can I do that?
Mhm.
On the macro issue, the Senate Bill 3240, I believe it was a number. It's kind of an interesting story. I get a call. This call in the middle of the night is a metaphor. It wasn't really a call in the middle of the night. It was a text or an email from somebody who said, "Oh my God, Gary, did you see this bill? Senate Bill 3240." And I said, "No, I haven't. Let me check it out." And make a long story short, it was a bill to give $1,300,000 to a PR company, an agency of the state government whose job is to influence and manage public sentiment about the military, and included part of their job as supporting and creating a pipeline of employment from kindergartners through 12th grade into the defense industry. So I'm thinking, this is crazy. This is crazy. We're spending $1.3 million of state money on this U.S. defense initiative. And so I started asking questions, and the word got out, and a lot of other people were asking questions. To make a long story short, the committee was flooded. It was heard in the House, Senator Bellotti's committee, and it died. They refused to move it out because of the volume of calls and testimony. Bottom line, Representative Bellotti had actually sponsored a bill just like it herself, so she supported it, at least initially. But once the public weighed in, it made a difference. There's still, unfortunately, buried in the budget $1.3 million that they'd already gotten and not told anybody about. The House apparently had put in $1.3 million in last year, $650,000 a year, with no hearings. This is before Rep. Todd took over. Representative Todd, as a new finance chair, I think is doing a fabulous job, actually, from what I've seen so far. We'll know in a week or two. But the prior finance chair had slipped in without any hearings, without any discussion, $1.3 million for this macro. And so we're asking the money committees to take that out, which they can do. They amend the budget. That's what they're doing right now. They're amending the budget. So if you have time, and that's another call to make to the money committees, finance and Ways and Means, to not fund PR for the military or access to kindergartens for K through 12 or macro. Oh man, there's so many issues, and I apologize to all those issues we're not talking about today. There's just not enough time. There's some criminal justice reform issues that friends of ours are working on. There's environmental policy. There's Native Hawaiian issues. There's all kinds of stuff that we just don't have time to talk about all this stuff. But, again, bribery, pay to play, faith and confidence, and that's where we're at.
Why don't we talk a little bit about the lieutenant governor?
Yeah, let's do that.
So Sylvia Luke announced last week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that she was not going to be running for re-election after a lot of consideration. There's been a couple polls that have come out, talking about Kawakami versus Luke versus unknown, and Kawakami's numbers were really strong for, just announcing a couple weeks prior. So she announced that she was not going to run for re-election, and then the news came out afterwards that she had been served notice, a target letter, that she was a subject of an investigation on bribery. It's also come out that her volunteer campaign treasurer, Leo Asuncion Jr., I believe the name is, also received a target letter. And unclear if there's other people also that have received target letters from this investigation. Now, that doesn't mean that she's being accused of a crime. I think that she's just a part of an investigation, if I'm so clear to understand, which I really don't. It's kind of complicated, but that's where we're at right now. She's taken an unpaid leave of absence, and Governor Green has appointed Keith Reagan, I believe it is, some type of person that works in our finance department to serve as acting lieutenant governor while still keeping his role, comptroller role. So in case Governor Green has to leave, or there's any other duties, there will be someone that will step in as acting governor.
Yeah, it's a mess. I'll tell you, it's a mess, and it comes back to money and politics, and you can't. To get elected, you got to raise money, and to stay elected, you got to raise money, and publicly funded elections. I want to circle back around to that in a minute, but Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke is admitted already to bad bookkeeping, sloppy bookkeeping, not filing her reports on time, accepting money from this individual and then returning it. But we would be remiss if we didn't say that lots of other politicians accepted money from these same individuals. Not at this same meeting, not recorded by the federal government, but they've accepted money. It's public record. And some of them have returned it, some have not. And I don't know the lieutenant governor that well. I served with her on and off over the years, and I liked her personally and respected her a lot. And I still like her personally and respect her, and hoping that it ends up that it was sloppy bookkeeping and poor reporting and nothing worse. But she has not been found guilty. I think a target letter is a heads up saying, we're looking into potential criminal acts and we're looking into you. I would not be surprised if other people or names don't also come up here in the next few days or week.
Yeah. So just for people to be aware to follow this, her volunteer campaign treasurer was a Public Utilities Commission or chair. So it's not just some random, whatever neighbor, friend, someone. This is also a person who is a political player. So I would believe that they would be understanding of campaign finance laws, et cetera. My advice to any candidate who's running, the first thing that you're going to spend your money on is a treasurer. $20 an hour, 5 hours every so often, maybe 10, 20 hours during reporting sessions, but pay your treasurer. This is a big deal. And, the mistakes that were made on her reporting were pretty egregious. I don't say that lightly. It was really, really bad. Anything over a penny is considered a violation. And this was thousands of dollars that were missing and many expenditures that were missing. And the mistakes are just like shocking to me, to someone who has done campaign filing reports before. And, the fact that was allowed to happen by the candidate, not saying that she's the one who personally did it or disregarded it. It's just like, as someone who's in the second highest office of the state of Hawaii, that's just, I can't really forgive that. It's just it's really bad.
And chair of the finance committee. And that's why everyone, I think, just scratching their heads, they just can't believe it, is as much as all the good is there and personal relationships and friendships and all that kind of stuff, that it's just hard to understand how something like this happened. And there's lots of moving parts. Again, I think it's more is gonna come out myself, I think. I'm disappointed to see, and maybe it's not too late, that there was a bill introduced by, again, Senator Rhodes, another version and companion more or less by Representative Kim Koko Iwamoto, to make it a criminal penalty not to report bribery if you know about it. So I believe there's other people that know other things and they're just looking the other way. But the bill was to make it a penalty, a criminal penalty, make it a crime. If you're sitting in the legislature and you witness bribery or you're aware of it, you have to report it. But unfortunately, that bill got stalled as well. So it's we'll see what happens. Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami, who I'm going to take some credit here for being one of the first people to predict he was going to run for lieutenant governor. I've been following this pretty closely, and it's too much of a story to get into. But yes, he announced he's running, and who jumped in immediately, poured tens of thousands of dollars already into his campaign is Pacific Resource Partnership and one of their PACs. They're running TV ads for him right away. And to me, it's distasteful to see that. And I have to be clear, the law says super PACs can do what they want with their money, but they cannot coordinate. So by law, this super PAC cannot meet with Kauai's Mayor Derek Kawakami and figure out what ad they're going to run or what they're going to spend. How closely that's enforced, how there's room to nibble around the edges on it, I'm sure. But they came out immediately to support him, and they opposed Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke in the past also.
Yeah. And just to be completely transparent with people, the people who are sitting on the PAC, the board, like former, Valimore Devins was, they are not a part of PRP organizations. They're not the representatives of the Carpenters Union. They're separate, but they run the PAC for this organization.
And if your name is on the PAC, then you either support the actions of the PAC or you're looking the other way. And either way is unacceptable, in my opinion, with this particular PAC and these particular actions. Former Governor Ben Cayetano was shredded his character during his race by this PAC. And he took them to court and won. And it's very hard as a public figure to win those kinds of lawsuits because you're a public figure and people figure they can attack you. But he won because of their actions were over the top. So there was a question earlier about LNG and liquid natural gas. And how do we stop the governor from going forward with LNG? I want to jump on that real quick. The liquid natural gas is a fossil fuel, and in my opinion, is unnecessary, unneeded, and bad stuff. Hawaii should stay on the path for 100% renewables. We're doing well, in my opinion, and we should stay on that path. We should stay focused. Liquid natural gas is a fossil fuel, and the amount of money for infrastructure alone is in the billions of dollars. And so how to stop it? I would say, again, get on the phone, do the emails to the governor directly, support those organizations who are fighting it. Hats off to Representative Amy Peruso and others who, I believe during a hearing, it came out that the governor's information was based on a $1 billion mistake or something crazy like this. The people doing the research for the state had added the numbers wrong or left numbers out, and so it's not good stuff. Not from a healthy planet perspective, and we don't need to be hooked on, dependent on liquid natural gas. I'll put in my plug. Food and energy independence. Okay, that's where we need to go with the state of Hawaii. Food and energy independence. The barges could stop. There's crap going on. This in Iran and the Mideast shows you how vulnerable we are to oil disruption. Not to mention the people that are dying, but just the oil disruption. The barges could stop. We need to keep our money here. We need food and energy self-sufficiency. Can the governor move it forward without the legislature's support? I don't believe so. I think they need money, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The governor needs to, unfortunately, so the people have the power, but unfortunately, there is no one, in my opinion, credible running. There won't be a competitive governor's race unless somebody steps up in the near future. And we need competition's good. And without competition, the people don't have leverage on the players. And so I don't know if anyone's going to step up. Anyone credible? I see a note in the chat. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, keep the pressure on the governor on the LNG issue. And as these bills move forward, we're going to be asking the governor to veto or to support various things. Okay, let me look at my notes to see, and I'll stop talking for a second. I know we talked about criminal justice reform, but I'm not really in a position to speak to those bills. And maybe in the future we're going to do some post-session stuff as we move forward. So to close the session, again, if the governor, if people start saying we're running out of time, a super majority, 2/3 of the House and Senate can extend the session for 15 days, 15 session days. That could be a month, or the governor could do it with the stroke of a pen. We talked about Citizens United. We talked about PRP and the call to action for the Chief Justice. I encourage people again, make the call. Call your senator and call all the senators you can, because the vote's going to be tomorrow. We talked about macro, pay to play. We talked about that. Is there a bill? What happened to that bill?
So currently, right now, the two bills regarding pay to play are waiting for a conference meeting.
So
likely, I don't know if they're going to happen or not, because the deadlines are Friday, and there's been no meetings out on them at all. And I think both Senator Rhodes' committee and Chair Tarnas, they have been dealing with other bills, basically. I think it's unfortunate. The current bills, both of them, only apply to the executive branch of government. So right now, contractors cannot donate to, the contractor business cannot donate to executive committee, state legislators, or county. This bill goes farther and says the executives of those committees, their family members, cannot donate to, supposed to be the initial, the intent was to the counties, the state legislature, and the executive committees, or the executive branch, but the state legislature decided to exempt themselves, and the counties as well, and have this only apply to this executive branch, because they're the ones who execute the contracts. However, who approves the permits for these projects? Who approves the funding for these projects? And there's been incredible amount of reporting from the New York Times to Civil Beat about how these donations to lawmakers, state lawmakers, county lawmakers, prior to these decisions about the funding for projects and the permits for projects, before the projects even get into the phase of getting their project approved, to become a contractor. And I just want to remind people that this whole bribery scandal that's stemming from Sylvia Luke accepting or not accepting $35,000 came from Milton Choi, who was then from the county getting no contest permits, hundreds of millions of dollars in no contest permits at the county level. Bribing.
No bid contracts kind of thing, right?
Yes, at the county level. And this is how it started. This is how it got caught in the first place. And the bill that is on the table does not include the counties.
And is the money committees, is finance and ways and means part of the conference on this bill? Do you know?
Yes, they are
Okay.
part of their conference, and they did not do anything. Well, Rep Todd's finance committee had the opportunity to add back in state legislators and counties, and he did not do that. And then Senator Rhodes did not have had county and state lawmakers included in the bill, and Donovan Dela Cruz removed them conveniently.
So just a little inside baseball here, and that's part of what we're here. We're talking to people who understand the system and people that don't. This bill is about campaign finance, making who can make campaign donations and who can't, and does not have a direct impact on the budget. Is that a fair assumption to say?
There is a small appropriations,
Okay.
because part of the bill is they want to create a password protected website that houses all of the contractors and their immediate family members, so that when you type in the name when you're putting in your donation, it pops up and says, hey, this person is a state contractor, they're banned from donating to the executive committee, are you sure you want to accept this donation? I don't know why it has to be password protected. I think that information should be for the general public to know as well. But there is appropriations to it. And egregiously, Senator Donovan Dela Cruz took the appropriations that were coming from the general fund for this kind of website improvement and earmarked it to come out of the Hawaii Elections Commission, which I think, or Hawaii Elections Fund, which is specifically for publicly funded elections, our partial public funding program. And yes, technically, the money can be used for operational expenses. However, in practice, no, it's only used to fund partial public funding. And I thought that was just a totally inappropriate and disgusting thing to do. So I have been trying to advocate for that to get put back into the general fund. And
Yeah, I mean, we can give $1.3 million to military defense training kindergartners and to 12th graders for our defense, but we can't. Yeah. So the conference committees, the way it works is the Senate and the House committees meet. They form a conference committee, half and half from the Senate, half from the House, and they're supposed to work out their differences. In theory, that those committees can make whatever decision they want to make. So when a committee chair says, "Well, we can't," we're not ready to make a decision, in likelihood they're listening to other people, House leadership, Senate leadership, or Donovan Dela Cruz, who is arguably the most powerful person in the building because of his position as chair of Ways and Means and his a huge campaign account of his own. Not to say he's a bad guy; he's just a powerful guy, and so he can call the shots. The committee members don't have to listen, but they will ask the chair or the Senate president or House Speaker will say to the chairs of the committee, "Oh, we don't have the votes for this, or we think we should kill it." So the committee chair people will listen to others off camera, letting them know whether they should pass it or not pass it. They have the power to make, in theory, they would pass what they want to pass with the majority of the committee and go to the floor, and the floor would vote it up or down. But nothing goes to the floor unless it has the votes, usually.
yeah.
Yeah.
And another just tidbit of information, this bill, a similar bill, was in play in conference last year, along with improvements to partial public funding program, but didn't receive clearance from the finance committees at the very last day, and therefore were not approved. And we're heading into Thursday, so we have 2 more days for partial public funding, another bill that's in conference right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it's easy to get dragged into the weeds and the depression of it all, because it can be ugly. And this is the time in the conversation when I like to say, okay, guys, so what are we going to do about it? We're just going to like live with it being ugly, live with the status quo of the power being done behind closed doors. No, we can't. We can't just live with it. It's an election year. We need to get this session over with, make our phone calls, and put the pressure on this next week, next 10 days, and then we need to turn hard on the elections. And there are candidates running out there. I don't know if we're going to name them out today or not, but there are candidates running for offices from the councils to the state legislature, to the U.S. the federal government. That we need to get behind. We need to make sure they win, and we need to hold them accountable. In the primary election 2 years ago, wait, I got it right here. The primary election 2 years ago, there was only 30-some% of registered voters got off their couch and went and voted by mail. Voting by mail is easy, right? Everybody got a ballot, and 32.3% of registered voters in the state of Hawaii voted in the primary election of 2024. That is pitiful. 32%. That means they're making decisions for everybody else, and those are registered voters. And we need to change that, folks. We don't have any choices. We can't just live with. We have the opportunity to build and to grow our community into a much better place. It's pretty good now. We're lucky to live here, but we can do so much better for people and the planet. Food and energy sustainability, food and energy independence, as I like to say. Education for our kids. We can just do so much better, but we have to show up to vote and we have to support candidates.
So let's just run through real quickly to talk about some of the races that are coming up. So, it's early, but it's not. Any credible candidate that's running right now, especially has a competitive primary, should be out there door knocking, sending out mailers. You're going to be seeing banners go up, sign waving. So from the top, we have our congressional races. No U.S. Senator races up this year for election. So then we have our congressional races. In CD1, right now we have a three-way split with Representative Ed Case, who in my opinion has got to go. His time is up. It's time for someone new in that seat. We have two candidates running for that seat, Representative Della Al-Baladi and Senator Jarrett Kehoe-Popolole, who are both, I think, fine advocates for progressive policies. I think that they would probably vote similarly, probably 80 to 90% of the time. I think they have similar supporters. So I really hope that one or the other is going to bow out and not make this a three-way race and hand it over to Representative Case.
I agree. I'll just jump in right here. I agree 100%. One of them needs to bow out. And Senator Jarrett's got a tough vote tomorrow. He's going to be there on the floor voting for or against the new Chief Justice. And I'm hopeful he'll vote the right way. Again, they're both head and shoulders above Congressman Ed Case, who I like personally. People look at the world through a different lens, and we need people in office who look through the world at a lens that puts people and the planet first, not money, not corporations, not business, but people and the planet. We need business, of course, but people and the planet first. So who else is wrong? We have half the Senate, right, is up.
Half the Senate.
So that's 12 or 13 senators up.
Yes. shout out to Christy McPherson. She's running for Senate District 13. Nani Brown running for Senate District 17, I believe.
I like Nani Brown. I like Christy too, but I like Nani Brown. Come on down, Nani Brown. She's got some good energy working.
And Jordan Nakamura running for open seat that Senator Rhodes is vacating for Senate District 13 or 12. Senate District 12. Leslie Hara's seat, Representative Jackson Sayama is running for that seat, Senate District 11. So that creates an open seat for House District 21. Who's running?
Any other Senate seats? I think you mentioned 4. I don't know if.
I believe Senator San Buenaventura is up for re-election. I don't think anyone has called that out. Special election for Senate District 19. Currently, Rachel Lamasau is.
But that's Senator Rhodes is.
No, that was Harry Aquino's seat that he vacated.
Okay.
So there's a special election. Rep. Patrick is also running for that seat for Senate District 19 or Senate District 19. And Senate District 25, Senator Lee's seats open or up for election. But a lot of these people don't have any challengers yet. Just a reminder for everyone, Senate seats up every 4 years. You're required to reapply, aka run for the seat. And if you're the only person who submits their name for consideration, you automatically get it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have such dismal voter registration and voter turnout, because there just is no real competitive races to vote on. If you don't have a representative running against the incumbent in a primary, you don't have a Senate seat within someone running against them, and there's no real challengers for lieutenant governor or governor, I mean, I know it's important to vote, but what are you really going to be voting for?
Right. And June 2nd is the filing deadline. The primary election is August 8th. Is that correct? I think so. And anyone running a serious campaign needs to get on it. Needs to be knocking on doors. If you're running in the Democratic primary or against a Democrat, there are Green Party. Shout out to the Green Party. We're a nonpartisan show here, even though we're both affiliated Democrats.
Yeah,
I do have.
Ella Kiakona announced his candidacy for House District 14, which is incredible, awesome. As a Democrat, I'm not going to be supporting him, but I think it's awesome that he's put his hat into the race.
And it's going to be interesting. I'm hearing other Green Party. The Green Party, in terms of philosophy, is right on, in my opinion. You know, they're good and they're independent and they support things that I support. They haven't proved a lot of viability, and but maybe things could change. This will provide options in the general in some of these races. Normally, oftentimes we don't have options in the general, but I'm going to jump here. The Republican Party seems to be fielding more candidates this year than normal. I haven't done the math, but it feels like there are more credible candidates running in state legislative seats than in the past.
Probably have been inspired the past couple elections. They've picked up seats. They just got one in the middle of session with Representative Cochran switching over.
Oh, that's right. And so the focus, we oftentimes focus on getting good candidates, and we need good candidates, but we do have quite a few, I think, good people run, but they need help. And so I encourage people, make the calls to your senator and House member, and then find a candidate you like, give them some help. Give them $20, give them $100, give them what you can. They need it. And then show up, help them hold signs, help them knock on doors, help them stuff envelopes, tell your friends about them, because it takes a team. These good folks can't do it all on their own. And we need to be we need to take ownership of our democracy, both as advocates at the legislature and the council, as well as at the political level, policy and politics.
I wanted to give a couple more candidate shout outs if I could.
Sure.
We have Kahi Pakara running for House District 19, currently occupied by Representative Mark Hashem, who is the current Water and Land Chair. Didn't hear any military lease bills this year, which was quite a disappointment. Also was the only Democrat to take a state-sponsored trip to Israel and plant trees during a genocide of Palestine. So that's someone who I think deserves a formidable challenger. And Kahi's pledged to take no corporate donations, so definitely he's on our side here. Keikoa Kealoha running for House District 31. That's also going to be a close race. They're previously occupied by Sonny Ganadin, now Shirley Templo. A very small turnout district, but he's running. I think he's a person that we should definitely look into supporting. Nadia Alves running for House District 28. That's an open seat. Representative Holtz vacated to work for DLNR and currently is occupied by sorry, blanking on the new representative's name, but he was just appointed to serve the remainder of the term. But Nadia is the people's champion, currently works for Representative Hussey and knows her stuff and would be an incredible addition to the state house. Corey Rosenlee running again. He came so close, 19 votes in the general election last year. So he's running again. He's posed to win. He's got a really good chance. There's a couple other Democrats in that race, but Corey's been working really hard. I think he really deserves the win. And now that Rep. Patrick is not running, hopefully he'll be able to secure that seat for sure. Ian Ross, their friend from Kauai, he's running. There's a couple people in that race. House District 26, which currently is held by Representative Albalati, who is not running for re-election to run for Congress. And then County Council. Shannon Matson on Hawaii Island. She deserves all of our support. Shannon's a wonderful friend and incredible advocate, as well as Uncle Bobby Paia on Maui, running for Upcountry. He just secured an endorsement by ILWU. It's fantastic. His campaign has hit the ground running. They're already out sign waving, getting ready to go. Auntie Carol Lee Kamekona, she's running for Kahului seat again. She's incredible person as well. And there's a bunch of Kauai County Council candidates. Need to do some more research. None of them are sticking out to me at this time, but there's 4 open seats on the Kauai County Council. That there will be 4 open seats. So I'm really hoping that we get some new blood in there. I know that Kauai people like to run again for the seats that they've already occupied. But with such a strong list, I think I saw Mike Coots put his name into the ring. Dane Smith, another one that my friends have been telling me about. So hopefully,
Michael Danduran is putting his name in.
Nice. Yeah, let's get some new faces.
Yeah. No, it's good, and we need to help them. We need to show up. I'm going to just repeat this statistic: 32% is all the people that showed up in 2024. By island, the Big Island was 38%. Maui, this is pretty shocking. Maui was 25.7. They had the fire and we had other disasters and stuff like that. So maybe it's not so shocking. Honolulu was 32. Kauai was 31. And so imagine if we go vote, because we're in there, and we drag our friends and neighbors with us, and we could double that easy, and elect some really, really good people. But we got to help them. And oh man, I'm worn out by this. What else we got? Are we done? Comments in the chat. So. Well, thank you, those of you that said mahalo. Oh, if you could please share this. Okay, we get off. The recording is there. share it with your friends and tell them to watch and make those calls to the senators tonight. Make the calls tonight and push really hard. Share the video, share it on Facebook, on YouTube, and get people in your networks to please make the calls. If you need the information again, it's capital.hawaii.gov, capital with an O, and Hawaii spelled out .gov. Go to the Senate, and you see the Senate members, and you see all of it there. What else we got?
So session ends next week, Friday, and maybe we can reconvene the following Monday to do a little bit of recap.
Yeah. Let's do that. And what else we got? Do we in the chat? Should I scroll that, or is there anything there that we're missing? I think we got it. Yeah. Get to know your legislators. Get to know who represents you. And let's do it, folks. Let's not just complain about it. Let's not just bitch and moan about it. Let's make change happen. And that's, I know Aria and I are here because we believe in it, and we want to help support and educate people. A lot of people don't know what to do, and so we're here to help you. And I got my T-shirts in the background there. Carpe diem, seize the moment. That's why we're here. And then I got my Hoosier shirt too, of course, so you know who you're talking to. Aria, Juliet, Mishka, you got anything you want to add to it? You got any questions, comments? No? Okay, so hui ho, I guess.
Hui ho, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.